You might not admit it, but if you're a Sigma male, chances are you don't have many real friends. You might be wondering why this is, especially when you know you're an intelligent and capable person. While it's normal to feel that moment when you really want that friend who thinks like you, not everyone has the same opinion about friendship. Many people believe that Sigma men don't have many friends because they refuse to follow the crowd. But while this can be true in some cases, it's not always the reason. There are also some deeper psychological reasons why Sigma men have few or no friends. Let's take a look at 10 of the most important ones. 1. Their quiet and mysterious nature often intimidates others. Sigma men tend to be very private and have a mysterious aura that can often be intimidating for some. They don't like to reveal too much about themselves and prefer to stay in the background rather than be in the spotlight. This is why they're often underestimated by those who don't know them, as it's easy to mistake their quietness for lack of confidence. However, those who have spent enough time with Sigma men know there's much more to them than meets the eye. They are usually incredibly passionate about their interests and hobbies and can be quite vocal when discussing them. While they may not always express their feelings openly, they still value human connection just like everyone else. This can create a bit of an obstacle when building relationships with these men, as it's difficult for them to let people in and allow themselves to be vulnerable. However, they can become quite outgoing and sociable once they open up and get comfortable with someone. 2. They're not really fans of big crowds. Sigma men may look calm and composed in big crowds, but they're usually quite uncomfortable when it comes to small talk and large groups. They prefer one-on-one conversations, as they find it easier to make meaningful connections this way. And while these men can be quite charismatic when they open up, they usually don't like situations where they're expected to entertain or put on a show. This isn't because Sigmas are socially awkward. Far from it. They just don't need to draw attention to themselves, as they prefer living below the radar. They'd like to spend time with close friends and family in an intimate setting. The same can be said of their career choices as well. They usually don't go into professions that involve a lot of public speaking or require them to be constantly in the spotlight. They can do it if they have to. But it's simply not their preference. They'd much rather be in the background, quietly making a difference without all the fanfare and attention. These are the kind of people who don't want to be famous, but want to make an impact. 3. People lie too much and it takes a long time to trust someone. According to a study by the University of Massachusetts, 60% of people who are 18 and older can't go 10 minutes without lying. 70% of all liars claim to be willing to do it again. While it's true that lying can be beneficial in some situations, it also makes it difficult to trust people. Sigma men tend to be more sensitive to the truth and prefer to surround themselves with people they can rely on. They're less likely to trust someone until their behavior consistently proves reliable. This can make it difficult to form close friendships, as the other person may not understand why Sigma is so distrustful. He is all about keeping it real, and this can be hard to find in most social circles. While lying is a part of everyday communication, Sigma men are usually more honest and straightforward. This can be off-putting to some people who may feel that these men are too direct or blunt. The truth is that Sigma men simply don't like wasting time with small talk or beating around the bush. They would rather get to the point and say what needs to be said. 4. If anything smells bad, they'll back away quickly. You know that feeling when something seems off and you just don't feel comfortable with the situation or person. Maybe it's a bad energy that doesn't quite feel right, or even worse, a person who is obviously only out to take advantage of you. This is one of those moments when a Sigma will quickly back away. They don't like feeling stupid or taken for granted. Even if they know you, they will distance themselves immediately if you start to act shady or lie to them. This is also why they sometimes appear to have trust issues. They don't want to get too close when the person they are talking to seems untrustworthy or unreliable. As the saying goes, better safe than sorry. The moment anything smells bad, Sigma men put you on their radar. And now every time you talk, they're judging your every word and action. While this may sound exaggerated, it's actually one of the reasons why they can't be fooled around with. This can be seen as a negative trait by people who don't understand why they act this way. But when you look at it from their perspective, it's actually quite understandable, unless you don't mind being taken advantage of. 5. They don't want a lot of friends, just a few ride-or-die howls. While other people might want to make a lot of friends and feel accepted, Sigma men are more selective. They want to have a few close friends who will always have their back no matter what. Having too many friends can be exhausting and overwhelming for them because they don't like to spread themselves too thin. This doesn't mean that Sigma men are antisocial, they just prefer quality over quantity when it comes to relationships and friendships. These men aren't looking for a large and diverse network of friends. They just want to find someone who truly understands them and thinks the same way. This kind of friendship is hard to come by, so Sigma males tend to be quite picky about whom they let into their inner circle. If you can make it past this strict selection process and earn their trust, then you just want a friend for life. From this point on, you can expect nothing but loyalty and honesty from your Sigma pal. While this process makes it hard to make friends, it also makes the ones you do make much more meaningful. This kind of loyalty can be hard to find, but once you have it, it's a bond that'll last a lifetime. Just think about all your friends who have come and gone, then compare them to the ones who are still around after all these years. Those are the kind of people Sigma men want as friends, not the ones who are only around when it's convenient for them. 6. They are not desperate for attention or acceptance from others. The last thing you'll ever see from a Sigma is an attempt to win approval or validation from others. He doesn't care about impressing people or making a show of himself. These men follow their own rules and don't need anyone's affirmation to feel good about themselves. This is why they can come off as arrogant. They simply don't care what others think of them. This doesn't mean they don't enjoy praise or compliments, but they won't go out of their way to get it. They'd rather focus on living life according to their own standards and values, as this is where true satisfaction and peace of mind come from. This kind of self-confidence is hard to come by, and that's why many people respect and admire them. 7. They are highly skeptical of those who become their fast friends. While most alpha males don't care about anything than reputation and status when making friends, Sigma males are a little pickier. The people you surround yourself with will determine what kind of person you turn out to be, so they approach each potential friendship with caution. They are highly skeptical of those who become their fast friends, as it looks suspicious when someone who was once a complete stranger suddenly becomes close to them. This doesn't mean that Sigma men don't like making new friends, but they are always looking for genuine ones. Making close friends overnight is often seen as something suspicious. This isn't always the case, but Sigma men would rather get to know someone for a while before calling them a friend. They don't want superficial relationships. They just want to ensure the people they become close with have their best interests in mind. You know the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's something Sigma men take very seriously. They want to ensure that the people they call friends are good for them, not just yes men or people who only hang around out of convenience. You will never see a Sigma man trying too hard to make new friends. They don't feel the need to impress anyone or show off any accomplishments, so they don't bother putting on a show to gain favor with others. Instead of relying on flashy displays, these men focus more on the quality of their relationships. 8. They strongly dislike getting involved in conflicts or drama. These men are very peace-loving and don't like getting involved in arguments or conflicts. This is because they see no point in bickering and would rather find a calm resolution to any problem. They are not the type to get into shouting matches or heated debates, as they understand that communication should be constructive rather than destructive. While this may make them appear weak or passive to some, it's actually a sign of strength and maturity. Many don't know that it takes more courage to stay silent than it does to shout. Of course, this doesn't mean that they are never confrontational. If someone tries to take advantage of them or step on their toes, they will certainly not hesitate to take a stand and defend themselves. While they appear silent and unassuming, the last thing you want is a Sigma man with a vendetta. These men know how to get the job done when it matters. However, they will always try to keep the situation from escalating and will strive to find a peaceful solution. 9. They're highly selective about who they allow into their life. While there's nothing wrong with having a large circle of friends or acquaintances, Sigma men are usually very selective about who they choose to associate themselves with. It's like they have an internal filter telling them whether someone is worth their time and energy. Even if the person is likable and friendly, Sigma males may still choose to keep their distance if they don't feel any sort of connection. This isn't because these men are snobbish or exclusive, but why waste time on people you don't have any chemistry with? This selectiveness can also make it difficult for others to get close to them. While these men may appear aloof, it doesn't mean they are antisocial. The only people who have this misconception about them are the ones who don't know them. If you ask Sigma's friends, they'll tell you that these men are actually quite generous and loyal. 10. They are rare and often misunderstood by others. People are not used to such a personality type. So, it's understandable why Sigma men can seem a little strange and out of place to some. They don't fit the mold of what most people think a normal person should be, which can make it difficult for them to find their place in the world. But don't mistake their silence or introversion for pessimism. These men are incredibly optimistic and have a deep appreciation for life. Sigma men may not be the most social or outgoing, but they often possess an inner strength and wisdom rarely seen. Although it can be hard for many to understand their unique way of thinking and behaving, this is exactly what makes them so special. Many women find themselves drawn to these men, as they can sense the depth of their character and appreciate their strong sense of self.